All right, welcome back there. Just going to cover in this video the 4 scripts that you can use here that you'll see in GitHub for the MSIX toolkit. Very powerful scripts, and they're the batch conversion scripts. It took me a little while to get them going and figure them out. So what this video is intended for is to just run through the process I went through and explain to you how I got it running under Hyper-V. So what you need to initially do is jump onto GitHub, browse into the MSIX toolkit. I'll put the links in the description below. You'll see a README there, but the ones we're after are batch convert, entry, run, job, and sign deploy. So batch convert does the, as the name suggests, the bulk of the work. That's the work loader. Entry will call batch convert and run job, and sign deploy will apply the signature, the certificate to the script, to the application. So these are the 4 scripts available on GitHub, and you want to download those. Once you've got those available there, I've got them running up in here in Visual Studio Code. And I'll in a virtual machine. This is a virtual machine right here. I've got 2 virtual machines. This one, and this is the other virtual machine. And this one here, as you can see, has a host name of, or ends in 8EN. I just need to point that out to show you how this runs. And that's that machine right there. And this one here is the initial machine which I'm running scripts from, which ends in C4U. So I'm using 2 machines to do this, and this is running under Hyper-V here. So we've got an automatic checkpoint, MSIX packaging machine. So that's the first machine, that's the second machine. We're running under Hyper-V right there. So what I'll show you here is what you need to edit initially and how it works. So entry.ps1 is the first script we need to have a look at. Now there's two parts that we need to pay attention to. One is the virtual machines section, and the other one is the remote machines section. So I'm using the remote machines entry in here, and what got me confused initially is how this works. So what you need to do is, as I showed you here, the C4U machine, which is this one here, is the first one here in the list. The second one, which ends in 8EN, is this one here. And you'll see, again, that one ends in 8EN, which is the second VM. So the idea being that because you want to package applications on a clean machine and then sequentially move through your suite of applications that you have, you don't want to repackage the same application on a dirty machine once it's repackaged, right? So what happens is this machine will look at this conversion parameters section, and the first application bundle that I have in the list here is Notepad++. So when I run the script, what happens is it grabs the first machine and then runs the installer for Notepad++ on that machine. Second application I have in the list is VLC Player, some basic applications there. And you'll see that that one, which ends in 8EN, the second machine, will run this application to be packaged, and so on, right? So the idea being is, and you'll see once it runs, that it puts up a press any key to continue, so it doesn't actually, so once it's ran on that machine, it's finished with that application. Once the application is packaged on this machine, it's finished with that machine, and so on. So the idea is you chain up your applications here, and it's basically associating an application with a machine to run on. So you can batch up as many machines as you like in Hyper-V here. You can have, 10, 15, 20 machines in Hyper-V if your host machine can handle it. And then once each application's run, it finishes, and then you roll it back and continue with more applications. There is there are parts in the scripts here to do VM snapshotting and checkpointing, but I'm going to cover that one off in other videos, as well as running these machines in Azure, not so much related to your local hypervisor. So I'm going to cover those ones off in subsequent videos. But what I want to do with this particular walkthrough is just get you familiar with the entry PS1 script. So we need to modify these to match the computer name of the virtual machine. So you'll see in Hyper-V here that the name in Hyper-V are these MSIX packaging image and base OS clean run, but the actual host name of the machine itself is this. So that's what the script is looking for. It's looking for the actual host name itself. And the other thing I'm using here as well, and I'll just show you quickly, is the VLAN ID. So each machine can talk to each other over using VLAN IDs. And so that one's on VLAN ID 2, and you'll see. So just running through that again, add the machines in here. So copy and paste. The installer path must match the executable. Package name can be anything. Package display name, Notepad++. Now, it says here that we can't contain special characters, but the certificate publisher information must match the signing certificate, which I haven't discovered that yet. So I've just left it as a default. And your company can be anything. Obviously, the versions, the version, if you want, should match the vendor's version, so 788. I can do that here right now. So we go 788. And I've also added this installer arguments switch. So that appends the /s against the installer exe for a silent install. Now, if you're using an executable and you don't have the installer arguments, it will not run properly. So this second one here is using the same switch. You just have to figure it out. So install arguments here is /s against the VLC installer Win64 executable right there. Again, working through package name, publisher name, etc. And version here, we're running 3012. So we can do that here now, 3012. And if we just scroll across on here, that must contain 4 octets. So we can't have like version 1.2. It has to be a 4 version on the application there. So this is the other one which is commented out, but I can keep adding to this and work down. And a lot of the other remaining parts of the script can be left as default. I'll just save that out. And entry.ps1 is the main file we run. And then it calls run_job, sign, deploy, and so on. So the other thing I'll show you is once you set up your remote machine, you need to run these two PowerShell commands: Enable-PSRemoting and set WSMan, set item for the local host client TrustedHosts, and that needs to be changed obviously to the remote machine. And you just run that up in PowerShell as an administrator, and that should be fine. So the other thing I want to mention as well is when you run PowerShell to run the PS1s, they have to be run as administrator. Otherwise, it doesn't spawn the remote PowerShell WinRM command on the remote machine, right? So this is running under administrator, or you can just run PowerShell admin like this as an administrator as well. If you don't run it as an administrator, it won't work. So I'll just clear the screen right here, and I'll show you how this runs. So we're running entry, which is the main script we need to run. And we're also running them in from the application's batch directory. Okay, you can see the 4 scripts. And we also have an out directory. And I'll show you at the moment, the MPT templates folder is empty. The MSIX folder is empty. This is where the XML template will come through for the application. And this is where the script will dump out the packaged MSIX application to the MSIX directory. I'll show you that once we're done. So these are the 4 scripts, and there's an out directory. So if we run this, just click play. First thing comes up and says, supply values for the following parameters. So user, I'll put my name in, and then a password, which is the local account on the machine, and it must match all other machines. So in other words, you have to have the same account and password on each virtual machine that you're going to be running the scripts against. So once we hit enter, you'll see here that 2 PowerShell windows have launched, and it sets up some variables. What I want to note here is job 0 and job 1. So we're running 2 jobs, but it starts at 0. So you can see the first machine here is C4U, and it's running Notepad++. Okay, Notepad++, some warnings there, they're okay. And the second machine is the remote machine, 8EN, and that's running the VLC package. You'll see a few errors come up here. They're only warnings. The next one here is a bit funny about some application entry. But once it's finished, you'll see it gives pretty good output. Preparing the environment, starting the remote session, running the installer, runs through, and it restores the environment back. And then it dumps the package out under C applications batch out, MSIX, and then there's our package. And it copies remote server logs to the local folder as well. So user profile app data, local packages, Microsoft, local state, diag output dir log 377 remote server. So you can see here that it says press any key to exit this window. That means that we're done with the initial package and it won't progress to another one because it's now technically a dirty machine. So I'll cover off some of these concepts in other videos. So in this one here, we just press enter and it returns us back. Same as this one here, and it returns us back. And we can see the console output here is telling us that it wrote out to the MPT templates directory and the MSIX directory. It was queuing up the application here and on that machine, and it queued up this application on this machine, and it's now done. Now we'll see some errors here because I haven't set up the code signing or the certificate signing, so don't worry too much about these yet. So that's done now. So what we'll do is just go into that directory and have a look what we've got. So in the out directory, we've got the MPT templates, and you'll see 2 XMLs, job 0 and job 1, which relates to the command output window. And simply in there is this is what the MSIX remote application packaging tool uses to read into the package itself. So what we put into that command file, C applications batch out, and then this one here, MSIX packaging tool for job 1, which was the VLC player. And then if we go into the MSIX directory, you'll see 2 packages in there. Notepad++, just run that. It's not trusted, but it's a properly formatted MSIX package with the icon. And the other one was VLC. The icon didn't come in because it wasn't the right dimensions or something. But it's put the version in just like a normal MSIX package you would expect. There. So that's how you initially set that up to run. And it's really only entry that you need to be worried about. Next one I'll talk about is the snapshotting and then the code signing, but I'll cover those off in subsequent videos, and also launching remote machines in Azure. So all you got to do is just have a machine that can talk to an Azure host, and then you can scale it out quite well. So I hope you found that of use.